Shut up and sit down.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ken Frederick Podcast, episode 127, our Hasbro Shared Universe movie pitch. Woo! Want to say thank you for listening. If you just stumbled across us on the interwebs, check us out at kfpodcast.com, at KF Podcast on Facebook, at Ken Fred Podcast on the Twitter, and at Ken Frederick Podcast on any other social media needs. And also check us out on SoundCloud. We have weekly content that comes out every Friday, for the most part, where we talk about nonsense that goes on in the week of nerdness and pop culture. So we got the normal crew. We got Justin via satellite.
Yo.
We got Brock.
Hi.
Donald.
Hey.
Myself. And we're going to try to pitch Hasbro to hire us, the KFP staff.
Because Hasbro bought Power Rangers.
Yep. And,
so it kind of got us all talking, excited.
And they also said they're definitely making a M.A.S.K movie.
Yeah. And they've talked about Shared Universe for a few years now. They actually had a writer's room a few years ago where a lot of famous people were sort of a part of it, and they talked about it. Kind of fell through. I don't think it ever really materialized.
So this is our chance.
This is our writer's room.
This is our writer's room right here.
In Western PA. Probably the cheapest writer's room you're ever going to get.
We'll work for screening passes.
That's right. Hasbro, you don't even have to pay us a lot to come do this.
Yeah.
We'll do it for
Brock
toys.
work for toys. I won't work for toys.
No. I was actually give me a job.
Yeah. Give us a job so we can quit our other shit jobs.
There we go. That
and
works.
do this.
Yeah.
And toys.
And toys.
So our pitch, the primary things we're going to be focusing on: Transformers, G.I. Joe, Action Man, Micronauts, Visionaries, and Humanoids, M.A.S.K, with a little sprinkle of Cops, and a little sprinkle of Dungeons and Dragons.
And that's a lot of properties, but
It is.
Dawn has mapped this out. I'm going to give all the credit to Dawn for the initial.
Now, when I say
mapping out.
Dungeons and Dragons, I'm not necessarily using the board game or the games. I'm using the '80s cartoon Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
Which I had to go on and do research tonight for the podcast.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember it. Hilarious.
It's great.
So, but yeah, Dawn has 10 years worth of movies.
I mapped this out when I was 10 years old.
But yeah, so here we're going to just dive in. We got 10 years. Was it three phases?
We got 3 phases, like the MCU, 3 phases. We got about, I don't know, there's about 20 movies in there.
Because it looks like it's
movies.
2 to 3 years. So let's just say 20 to 23.
And we got about 10 years in the making.
Yeah. So this is gold. So here's the rundown. We're going to kind of give you a breakdown year per year. And in their first movie, we're going to tell the backstory. But we're going to kind of go through all these, tell you our ideas.
See what you think about it.
We might add ideas while we're talking too, because hey, we're pitching this.
This is a writer's room.
Yeah, writer's room. You're inside it right now.
Right.
Even though we have no idea how a real writing room works.
No.
This is how it is.
It's just like this. You got someone drinking via satellite.
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
Exactly how it is.
All right.
Throw it up against the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Phase 1, year 1, the best movie of all of them, M.A.S.K.
Well, we figured M.A.S.K is your perfect starting point.
I agree 100%.
It's perfect starting point.
Mobile Armored Strike Command.
Right.
So
because you have the guy that wants to do the M.A.S.K. one is the director of
Fast and Furious.
It's F. Gary Gray. Right? So we're gonna get F. Gary Gray on board.
We're just gonna tweet directly to.
It's perfect. It's cars.
I don't know why you hate Gary Gray, but
weapons.
So.
Yeah, they do hate Gary Gray.
So the synopsis that Dawn has written out for M.A.S.K is Matt Tracker leads a strike team against the new threat of the world, Venom, and introduces Miles Mayhem and his men. Battle for technology to make the most powerful weapons. Cutscene is revealed that Action Man is Matt Tracker's contact and wants him to team to expand the G.I. Joe program. Miles' end scene reports to Cobra Commander.
Yes, Action Man is our Nick Fury of this movie. He's sort of like, because Action Man doesn't really have a name. Like there's a lot of different Action Man, so we'd have to come up with something.
Wasn't he just a guy you bought different clothes for?
He was like the original G.I. Joe guy.
In the Hasbro comic books of the IDW run, he actually is
He's a London-based
he's a London-based superhero spy kind of guy.
In IDW.
Yeah.
He's an all-around good guy.
Now you had a good thing that you said about if we have a scene where Miles Morales reports to Cobra Commander.
Not Miles Morales, not Ultimate Spider-Man.
Miles Mayhem.
This is off to a good start.
Goes back to Cobra Commander.
I think Cobra Commander should have a decorative gun on his mantle, and it's Megatron.
Even if it doesn't end up being Megatron,
It just looks cool.
just
Like, it's
looks-
a
It
silver.
can just be the toy sitting there.
Yeah. Because remember the Hasbro toy line where the Megatron gun came with Cobra Commander?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was great, and it came in what was it? It was in Storm. Who was the airplane that transformed?
It was Starscream.
Starscream designed.
Yeah.
Cobra Jet.
Those Comic-Con ones. Those are really cool.
So here's my only change that I would have for this Mask movie. Instead of it being about Matt Tracker, I want it to be about Scott Tracker, because Scott Tracker, I think, gives a viewer fresh eyes to the universe. You could go through the eyes of Scott.
Is Matt Tracker in the movie, though?
Matt Tracker's in the movie. I think he dies in the first scene.
Oh, wow. You killing off Matt Tracker.
I think
All right.
Venom kills off Matt Tracker early to show how and Scott joins with the other guys from Mask,
Okay.
and maybe T-Bob is little, not a robot that he
He
rides
sort
on.
of grows up through these movies.
Yeah, exactly. He knows all about Mask, but this is where he, in his early 20s, joins the Mask team.
The main purpose is introducing that the technology that they're using is going to end up being Cybertronian.
Oh, yeah.
That's where they
100%.
got it from. Both of them are using that transforming of cars,
Mm-hmm.
and each of them are part of a bigger world of M.A.S.K is going to be a part of G.I. Joe,
Yep.
and Venom is a subgroup of Cobra.
I just think it's easy for a viewer's eyes to relate, to see everything through Scott Tracker's eyes,
Mm-hmm.
much like in Transformers, you saw everything through Shia LaBeouf. He was
Yeah.
new to it all, and as he learned it, the viewer learned it. I think Scott Tracker could be a key character through all these movies to learn about all this other
All
stuff.
right, so then we're moving on to our next movie.
One thing real quick about Mask.
All right, you're going to talk a lot about
No,
Mask.
this is the last thing. I think that you need to set up in this movie that they have to actually wear masks to control the Cybertronian.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because it's too advanced for human
Yeah,
technology,
yeah.
so they have to wear the masks to help them.
Oh, for sure, yeah, because the masks are the coolest part.
Yeah.
And that's more toys that Hasbro could sell.
Yeah, exactly.
You can sell actual size masks.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah,
so my-
stiletto and all those things.
All right.
My
So,
one stupid contribution, since you're killing off Matt Tracker in this first movie, I think Elon Musk plays Matt Tracker.
oh no,
Get out of here.
you're
All
a
right,
crazy
so the
person.
second part of our intro, that's our Earth-based stuff. We have to bring in our outer space set, so we chose Rom the Space Knight to
Yes.
start that, because his world and the dire rates will be a big sort of invasion type thing.
And I think it's also easier to have one central character in a movie to start it out.
I don't know a lot about Rom, but from what I read on him, he's got some cool stuff. It would make for a cool outer space type
Yep.
movie. A lot of different alien races and weapons that he has. How tall is he?
He's taller than an average human, but he's shorter than like Optimus Prime.
So he'd be in between.
I would say, roughly 9 feet tall.
Yeah.
Because I'd guess the Transformer's 15 feet tall,
Yeah.
maybe to 20.
Well, it depends, yeah.
But I would say that he would be anywhere between 8 to 10 feet tall.
Okay.
In the armor, or just
Well, if he's an
overall?
alien, could he just be...
So he's wearing that armor. He's like a regular looking guy.
It's much like the Silver Surfer, where, like, Norman Rad got the powers of the Silver Surfer to save his planet.
Norman Rad. Yeah, he got those powers.
He's
This
Norman
guy,
Rad.
This guy who's from the planet
Norman
of
Rad.
Geldor.
Yeah.
He's the last of his race.
He's last his race, gets bestowed the ROM armor
Okay.
of he's the last Space Knight, and it's armor that he's kind of bond
Now, this
to.
movie has my favorite end cutscene.
Okay, go for it.
Because I figured the scene on here is after he's done battling like a small group of dire wraiths in space. He comes across, we could pick any 3 type Transformer Decepticons, like some Scavenger, Ravager type ones. You could do Ravage, you could do whatever.
You should just do Soundwave in his chest
Nah,
box.
I don't want to introduce Soundwave. He's too big of a guy. These are people that are going to be killed.
Oh, okay.
So they're attacking him, and he's saved by Skyfire. Because Skyfire, to me, is a Transformer favorite that people love. And they screwed him up in Revenge of the Fallen and turned him into an old guy.
Old Scottish
And,
guy.
they do the Jetfire because he was a toy, but he was Skyfire in the cartoon. He's
Yep.
a good appearance because he's a big dude. He's an outer space jet.
Okay.
Saves them, sort of team up.
Like
So that's the post-credit scene for
Yeah.
that.
So the actual synopsis of the story is Cyborg, being originally from a utopian society in the planet Galador, he is the last of his race and taken on a mission to stop the dire race from invading a neighboring planet. So you can even set that up where the dire wraiths destroy everyone on his planet and he's saved by the ROM Force, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it.
The ROM Force.
And I think we can't use Space Knight because I think Marvel owns Space
Can't
Knights.
say ROM to space.
Yeah, I think it's just
Cities
ROM.
Okay.
Yeah. You can call him the Space Guardian or
The Guardian of
The
Space.
Guardian of the Galaxy.
the Guardian,
of
the
the
Galaxy
Galaxy.
of Guardian. All right, so year 2 we have G.I. Joe. The strike force is formed by Action Man and leadership handed off to General Hawk and Duke. Their first mission is to take on Cobra, who's planning a new weapon to control the weather.
Weather Dominator.
End scene, Cobra Commander is contracted by Megatron, who offers an alliance to take over the Earth. How great would he just goes back to his desk and the gun transforms.
And the gun transforms and he didn't know it.
Yeah, and
And
the whole time
you
he's
see it transform and you don't really... They don't really want to show him yet.
Yeah.
You can see it change and he's like, holy shit.
it's just
and
like
You can just
shakes
have it on the desk, start to shake, and then
and
cut
fall.
away.
Yeah,
Cut away to a shadow of him or something.
This,
cast.
you go with the Weather
the classic
Dominator 'cause it's easy. It's a fun G.I. Joe story. People love the Weather Dominator.
and let's be honest, they've already have all the CGI for it.
They did
based-
that dumb weather movie that's basically the Weather Dominator.
It's totally the Weather Dominator.
And I would keep the team for the Joes generally small with Duke as the leader.
5 to 6 guys.
Yeah, Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
A lot of grunts in it,
Yeah.
different people. But you have Snake Eyes, you have Scarlet.
I think they should have a core group, but also have fodder, like nameless G.I. Joe guys
Oh,
around.
yeah,
'Cause
there's
they
tons
always
of-
had so
oh,
many.
there's
Heroes.
tons of
Yeah.
nameless G.I. Joe guys.
Yeah, I like the cutscene with Megatron. All right, so year 2, movie 2, Transformers Origin. The Autobots decide to leave their war-torn planet and make way to a new planet for resources. They're attacked along the way by Decepticon strike force. The battle takes them to Earth, where they meet Earth heroes. Duke and Matt Tracker encounter Optimus Prime.
Or Scott Tracker, since we killed Matt Tracker.
Well, it doesn't matter. We can even wait to
A
do
mask
that.
representative.
Yeah.
That's representative. Now, this movie for me is the 3-part Transformer cartoon, which I think was perfect. That I don't know why they didn't do that storyline. It starts on Cybertron. That's where people want to see.
Yeah, they want to see why.
And instead of like starting on Earth, like you said, the M.A.S.K movie scrutinized as a kid. I think you go to a different route. You start on Cybertron with the Autobots scavenging for Energon
Yep.
and Decepticons on their tail. They make their way to Earth. They crash. They don't have to wait for 4 million years like they did in the cartoon. But that's a great origin story.
I think also, too, with these Transformers movies, you have to stress secrecy. Like in the
Yes.
Bay movies, they were just so, like, in the middle of the street, explosions
Yes.
and whatever. Like,
Robots in disguise.
yeah, disguise has got to be key.
Or
in
other
those
words,
movies.
the reason there's no reason to transform.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're not hiding. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And they tried to do it with the stupid movie with What's-His-Face, but, like, it didn't make any sense still.
Yeah.
But,
And again, I would keep
So-
the... go ahead.
No, so okay. So the only change I would hear would be with year 2. Personally, I would flip these 2 movies and put Transformer Origin first and then G.I. Joe.
okay.
And the way I would do that is when Skyfire comes in and saves Rom, the reason Skyfire is there is he is out scouting for a new place when the Autobots leave.
Yeah.
And
And so I would go from that end scene directly into Transformers, then into G.I. Joe.
could with Duke being on the team, Duke being there, but timeline wise, I can see why you want to have Joe first so that they create the team, so Duke has a reason to meet Transformers. But
Yeah.
you can have it come out whenever, and
It could be happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would add with the Transformer movie is I hated the first Transformer movie because there was only 5 of them. I want there to be way more than 5 that land. You don't have to spotlight all of them. You could spotlight a couple of the main ones, but there's at least a force.
Do you have the Ark as their home base?
Yeah.
Okay.
Crash into a side of a mountain or wherever it's at or somewhere. And then they're all that way you see ones in the background, but
Well,
you
if
don't
you-
have to necessarily use them.
if
Just
you
like
have-
the cartoon used to do.
If you have the Ark, like when because it busts in half, doesn't it?
It crashes into the mountain. It's part into the mountain.
Well, I thought there was like some half that broke off, but
That's Megatron's ship. Splits off and crashes into the...
Okay.
That's called the Nemesis.
yeah.
That ship. It crashes in the ocean, and that's where they're based out of.
Okay. All right, so we're going into year 3. M.A.S.K 2, Battle with Venom continues as they unleash the new weapons funded by Cobra. Using more advanced Cybertronian tech, they defeat M.A.S.K and destroy their mountain. This could be a good one whenever Matt Tracker dies here.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
everything's blown up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like their
This is their empire.
yeah, this is their empire. Yeah, you gotta have an empire.
End scene of Dire Race arriving on Earth,
Okay.
which I don't know if... I mean, yeah, I guess you if you saw Rom already, you would know what the Dire Wraiths are. And
Yeah,
how it
you have to know
connects.
that they're connected.
Yeah, so...
This is very... I don't know. I mean, it's very Avenger-ish. Dire
Yeah.
Wraiths arriving for the first movie being an invasion of
Yeah.
Dire Wraiths.
But all right, so we have Revolution the movie, working title.
Working title. We don't really know what we want to call this. This
Same
is
for the
our,
comic.
it's our community movie.
Yep. And it's the remaining Mask team, G.I. Joe and Optimus, and his team fight against the Dire-Wraith invasion as Cobra and Venom try to align with the invaders. Rom arrives to change the tide in favor of the heroes. This is great for this because when you have a team movie, you want to see them destroy a lot of fodder. Dire-Wraith is great fodder.
Yeah, they're good fodder.
You can have the masks of M.A.S.K. be able to actually see Dire-Wraith since they're shapeshifter.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe can use the tech somehow. Duke can get a mask and whatever.
Well, I read that there's a lot of different types of Dire-Wraiths too.
Yeah.
Ones that do like magic, ones that are overlords, ones that are
juggles,
more
some that do clown
some
tricks.
Some have 3 legs. Yeah.
Yep.
They're different colors.
Yeah, there's pink ones and green ones. So.
Rom and I would change this to Rom and Skyfire arrive.
Rom in Skyfire.
Inside Skyfire, yes.
Yeah.
And I would keep all the Autobots cars for the ones that are there and all the different that.
Yeah.
And you have Joe's driving. I mean, this is just pure fun of Snake Eyes riding in like Ironhide.
Well, this is what there's like G.I. Joe Transformer crossover comics all the time that you saw. Like, that'd be awesome.
And then scenes of, the M.A.S.K guys where like an Autobot transforms and they're like, my car does that too. And their car transforms into different things.
Yeah.
And, it's just fun.
Yeah, it'd be
good,
great.
Clean fun.
All right, so we go to Phase 2.
Phase 2. We introduced more outer space people, the Micronauts.
Micronauts.
Which I'm not too big on the Micronauts. Like reading up on them a little bit, but I think they're there's a lot of different ones that you could put on the team. You get a very like Guardians of the Galaxy feel with them because there's so many with Bug and different people like that. You could go a lot of different routes with a team like them.
And here's something you could do with them too. Like they could be there the whole time in the microverse.
True.
And they could just be watching all this or hearing of all this going on, and then like, oh, can we help in any way?
Yeah.
And then they come out of the microverse, and that's how they're introduced. Instead of being in space, they could just be right there the entire time.
Yep.
I like it.
All right, and then you learn at the end of the movie about a group of villains trying to reincarnate Baron Karza, which is a great-looking villain. I think he'd play well on a screen.
Mm-hmm.
Very Darth Vader-esque.
Very Darth Vader-esque.
Yeah.
All right. So then we're going to G.I. Joe 2. Megatron urges Cobra Commander to turn to Destro to help him against the Joes.
Introduce Destro in this one.
Destro and his mass device is used.
Device. That's from Destro shows up in the first cartoon with the mass device.
Okay. Is used to make attacks around the world. Blitzwing is Destro's personal bodyguard and tank/plane.
Now I think that's a cool thing that Destro, when he shows up, pulls up in this giant tank, and then like while they're sitting there, it just turns into Blitzwing, turns into a jet, and he flies off in it. It's like it was given him by Megatron.
It'd be great too if people think that this is Venom tech.
Yeah.
And at the very end, he just transforms into a robot. And you realize that he's been a Decepticon the entire time.
Now, the thing with the mass device is there was 3 elements that enabled you to use. The mass device could teleport large amounts of troops and everything at one time to different places.
Okay.
So it's like teleporting Cobra around the world. The 3 elements were in the cartoon were like crystals from like under the ocean, a meteor that landed from. You could take these 3 elements.
It's Cybertronian energy.
One could be a Cybertronian energy. The one could be from the microverse.
Mm-hmm. You could tie this in real easy and have a piece of visionary shard or staff.
The elements could be 3 different things that are tied from all around.
Colonel Mustard's.
Goddamn Infinity Stones.
Yep, it could be.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so where were we at? That was year 4. All right, so we're busting into year 5 here.
Now, my son Logan thought that we should take the 3rd Transformer movie and sub it in for number 2, but we'll just go with what we have on the thing right now.
All right, so we're going year 5 Transformers Combiner War. Discovering tech used by M.A.S.K teams of Transformers on both sides. On both sides.
Typing. You don't have to read it. You can stop reading them word for word.
All right, I'm done reading them.
You should just go in and read what they are.
So it looks like discover. I'm going to read it anyways because I haven't read this beforehand. Okay. So
you didn't do the homework.
Uses the tech to combine huge battles between massive robots occur. Megatron is mortally wounded and defeated.
So basically, M.A.S.K comes up with the technology where they're combining like 2 vehicles into one. Because I've seen that in some of their toys.
That's the worst part of M.A.S.K, but okay.
I know it's the worst part of M.A.S.K.
The split second
these
stuff.
Teams of Autobots and Decepticons, Predacons, Stunticons, Aerial Bots, take that tech, start mixing them together to do Combiners. Combiner Wars was big. Hasbro launched that online, and that was huge.
So you're saying in the Transformers mythos, there was no Combiners until the M.A.S.K team created it.
That's the leap that I took, where a lot of people might not like that.
I can see that.
Yeah, that they were just teams, and then they started combining together. Because I think a movie of Combiners would be great.
I think it'd be great. I just don't want it to be overkill.
Overkill would be tough.
No, not the Transformer overkill.
I mean, you'd have to pick a couple. You couldn't use all of them. But obviously, I would be partial to, Devastator and Bruticus.
Yeah.
I mean, the Stunticons are cool, too, but Bruticus is great and Devastator's great.
What's the Aerial Bots is the first?
Superion, and then the Protectobots are Defensor, which he's cool, I mean, obviously, there's a lot you could get into, Logan's thing was I was introducing the Dinobots in 3.
Yeah.
He was like, you should introduce the Dinobots now and do when Grimlock gets smart and creates the Technobots. I'm like, I don't know if I want the Technobots. And they're a little far out.
Technobots. All right, then we got
Computron. I know all this useless information. I can name you every person on these teams too, and the combiner. That used to it used to be something that my kids used to be able to do when they were little. Because I would name them the team, and they would name everybody on it, and the combiner that they wore. That's how bad we were. We watched a lot of Transformers.
That's funny. All right. So,
M.A.S.K 3 had a hard time with.
Okay. M.A.S.K 3. M.A.S.K 3.
Because I was like, how do you spread out a cartoon that really went 1 or 2 seasons into 3 movies?
Venom returning to using the combiner tech to advance their machines into powerful vehicles. M.A.S.K must adapt and grow to handle the new threat. Agents of UNICRON make their appearance. Okay. Yeah, I think that you got to go until... I mean, you can keep upping the ante with their different vehicles. I'm sure if we sat down and really wrote this, we could get into it.
Yeah, because they have a lot of different vehicles that were in toy lines that started doing more things. And that's basically what you do with M.A.S.K is they started getting bigger and bigger and more technique. And
you can even have these Agents of UNICRON.
It's the unicorn.
Agents of UNICRON come down and wipe out both sides.
Yeah.
And then you can then kind of reset them back into just being part of G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the couple that are, throughout these movies, because I don't know if you have any more It doesn't look
that's the end of the M.A.S.K movies.
So you just have, at the end of this, when they come in the end scene, then they kind of just go to be just more parts of their larger team.
Right.
Miles is a foot soldier for Venom, or for Cobra.
It's much easier to do more G.I. Joe and Transformer stuff because there's so much stuff to do where M.A.S.K and ROM are just kind of
and you know what, I get that. I think that maybe they should just be 3. It doesn't need to be that deep unless you can think of a good idea to go that really goes, but
okay,
unless you want to start switching villains, but we'll get into that later.
We'll get into that later.
All right, ROM 2. ROM battles the Agents of UNICRON in space as they plan to attack Earth. Their plan to attack Earth is revealed.
Okay. Pretty simple.
So, do you have an idea who these Agents of UNICRON are? Are they Transformers?
I had them as actually I had them as some Transformers, some Quintessons, which were Alien that, and some of the Micronaut villains, because there's a whole bunch of them on there. A collection, sort of all of them.
All right.
There's monsters, there's aliens, a couple of the Dire Wraith leaders, people like that.
So basically, he's formed his own group.
Yeah, they're like a tribunal.
The AOU, the Agents of UNICRON. Yeah.
So then you have the big. This is where I get a little crazy now.
All right.
So you have the big meeting of the movies, the Revolution 2.
On Earth, the Agents of UNICRON unleash a large threat on Earth. The mystical dragon Tiamat is awakened into our universe, and it takes the combined forces of the Autobots, G.I. Joe, M.A.S.K to defeat him. No ROM in there.
Well, ROM.
He's still in space.
He went back to space. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
So this dragon was from the cartoon.
Yes.
He was invincible. Nothing hurt him.
Uh-huh.
And there was only certain ways, spells that could stop him, but you would just have to funnel his rage somewhere. That's how they would always get around him. They couldn't never really take him on head to head, because he has 10 heads. Each head does a different thing, and it's actually a female, and it was just bent on destruction. So their thing is opening up this portal and it attacks Earth. And it's a dragon's kind of launch was just trying to bring all the properties together. You know.
Well,
what
I think you understand it more when I see when you're
where it's
big
going.
Where it's going.
Where it's going. Yeah.
All right. In another dimension. All right. So then we go to the Visionaries movie.
The Visionaries kind of like round out phase 2 because this like they're more with this whole dimensional stuff.
All right.
We have outer space. We have dimensions.
Yep. In another dimension that was once ravaged by a large threat, 2 rival armies learned a new magic to power their armies and engage in a war against each other. The end, they discover that this evil was moving through dimensions, searching for ours.
So this is like a Visionaries intro movie where you have they were wiped out by something once before, it destroyed everything.
You're not saying on purpose who it is.
You're not saying on purpose who it is. They start using this new magic to power their lost technology and all that. It's basically an origin movie. I mean, the Visionaries, it's based off of a cheesy toy line, but it's Hasbro. Yeah. I think you can make it cool. And they realize that this threat's moving around, so they're trying to, like, warn people of, hey, this happened to us. Don't let it happen to you. I lose my voice.
All right. G.I. Joe, The Rise of Serpentor.
This is phase 3 now.
Year 7.
Year 7. A lot of movies.
Looks like Justin, it feels like this podcast is 7 years. G.I. Joe, The Rise of Serpentor. Destro and Cobra Commander are replaced by a new leader, Cobra. Serpentor is linked to an ancient evil that is coming back to our dimension.
Okay.
All right.
So this is pretty much a group which, like how G.I. The thing I changed it was Cobra went and found Cobra Lost, sort of like put it in their heads.
Yeah.
To go that this would be that Agents of UNICRON group.
Yeah.
That sort of put in their heads to go make Serpentor.
Okay.
He takes over, and like Destro and Cobra Commander, of course, don't like him, and it's a lot of these things I'm getting from the old G.I. Joe cartoons. They did the Mass Device, they did the Weather Dominator. I don't know why you would ever want to write new stuff for that, where that stuff was good.
Yeah.
And it could transpire on the movies. The Rise of Serpentor, gathering all the DNA and making him, and I wouldn't have Sergeant Slaughter in it. But,
I mean, I would. I think.
why not? I love your face. Why not? Why wouldn't you have him?
All right, so then we go into Micronauts' Rise of Karza. Baron Karza returns to the help of the Dire Wraith wizards. Rom lends a hand to the Knots to stop these evil threats.
Knots.
So crossover between ROM and Micronauts.
Yeah, ROM and the Micronauts to stop Baron Karza. This would be a big Baron Karza badass movie.
Killing whole planets of people.
Yeah.
Killing planets.
And then we go into Transformer Rise of the Dinobots. In order to stop the new Decepticon threats, the remaining Autobots turn to the new prehistoric allies for help. Agents of UNICRON attack Optimus for the Matrix.
That would be the last scene of them attacking him for his Matrix. This is just, I want to see the Dinobots done right. This would be a movie where they're defeated and they have to go.
You don't want to see Optimus riding on the back of Grimlock?
I don't want to see him riding on Grimlock. I want to see Grimlock beat him up first. And then side with him.
Because Grimlock's a man. And he doesn't
Grimlock's a man. He doesn't want someone riding on his back. Yes.
All right.
Dinobots would be cool. If they're done right, you got to have them in
Well,
the
we're doing it, so they're going to be done right.
Right.
Yeah.
Visionaries 8. Or Year 8, Visionaries 2.
Visionaries 8.
Wow, we jumped ahead.
The team makes its way to our dimension to stop the enemies from taking over our world. When a portal was opened, Metlar and his minions make their way into our world underworld.
So that would be sort of the end scene. So the Visionaries come into this world, fighting against their bad guys, blah, 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 blah. The end scene would be Metlar, who's an inhumanoid
villain,
bad guy, making his way into our underworld.
Now, is he the one with the skull face?
No, that's Decompose.
Decompose, I was watching, because I was watching old Inhumanoids cartoons on YouTube. The first time he shows up, he just turns the woman into a bunch of skeletons and then starts ballroom dancing with her. Now, these guys are like 10 to 15 feet tall. They're huge.
He used to put people on his chest.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just like,
Decompose was scary looking, though.
Yeah.
The toy was really good. There's some scary looking creatures in Inhumanoids.
And I think that'd be great to end this for some big bats. But
yeah.
All right, so then we go into the Inhumanoids movie. Metlar, I almost did it again, and his minions have come to our world and set up an underground world and are making plans for their master's return. A new team of Joes is recruited to handle these rough areas using new weaponry supplied by Autobot tech. A battle for the underground is now underway. Cutscene, we see Metlar opening the portal and the main villain VENGER come through the portal. VENGER come through the portal.
Now, if you don't know who VENGER was the big bad from Dungeons and Dragons.
I didn't know who this was. I was confused.
You were confused by him?
Yeah.
He has the one horn. He was always he was basically a demon. He was the master of like all evil incarnate in this story. And Dungeon Master was like his arch enemy. Okay. And he wanted to get to Earth in the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. They were looking for their portal home. These kids that were trapped there. He was looking for there so he could get there. He already destroyed that world and take over Earth. Because he's like a powerful wizard. He's voiced by Peter Cullen.
Of course he is.
And he was cool.
How many voices is Peter Cullen going to do in these movies?
So many. He's the whole movie. The whole cast is Peter Cullen.
It's just him narrating what happens.
Optimus Prime, Peter Cullen, Ironheart, Peter Cullen, VENGER, UNICRON, everybody. So VENGER's our big bad. He's our Thanos.
All right. So, Revolution, the movie 3, working title. Venger descends on our world from his dark universe. With his followers Metlar and others, and an army of Decepticon traitors and Serpentor forces and Ras, they plan to take over Earth. Huge
Reading.
Huge alliances of all the heroes and some villains unite to stop him. His goal to awaken the massive host body of UNICRON so he can take over the whole universe.
Yeah.
He achieves his goal and suspends the Earth and all of its warriors frozen in metal from Cybertron. Heads to space to achieve goals.
So you find out that UNICRON had perished, so all was left was really his presence wasn't really alive anymore. But his powerful body is still somewhere in Earth. Now I'm not going to make him planet size.
Okay.
I think he would be more like city size.
Okay.
You know, he's big, but he's not like a planet, because I always thought it was ridiculous when he transformed. I'm like, all right, he can just punch a hole through Cybertron. Why is he taking his time? So Venger uses that body, and the thing that I like in this is Unicron has 2 horns. Venger has the one. That's what it's known for. It's just the one horn. So when he absorbs into his body and awakens as this giant, massive robot, he snaps off one of the horns, throwing it at him. That way he looks the same. And then the Unicron things look like his cape and his wings. So he looks. I always thought the two of them looked a lot alike.
Okay.
And now they would. And then he heads to space. The thing he zaps them with, they kind of are in like he drains their energy. They're kind of like in a suspended animation.
Okay.
That's where he leaves everybody. Like
So the whole Earth.
Most of the heroes.
Okay.
Most of the battles. Kind of like Thanos wiping out some of them.
That's fun.
And then he heads for outer space with his followers and his minions and all that.
All right.
So the last person in this is you have Action Man again, who had set up the Joes, set up M.A.S.K. He kind of is like almost like a Nick Fury doing the Secret Warriors thing. He has to go find some people that can maybe help put the pieces back together.
All right. And that leads us into the Action Force movie. The last hero left untouched is Action Man, as he collects fighters that have never been on a team before to help, including the legendary warrior Zordon. They awaken the Power Ranger Protocol. Dr. X is leading the Unicron followers.
Dr. X is an Action Force villain.
Okay.
Who has, I forgot to mention, it was part of the agents of
Okay.
Unicron all along. He's one of the
Dr. X reminds me of Dr. Cube. That's
Yeah.
something different.
So Zordon is introduced in here. And then let me read off who Action Force is then.
All right, read it out.
So Action Force is Action Man, his sidekick Red Wolf from the comic, Stretch Armstrong, another toy brand being brought into it,
Yep.
who could be introduced in some other kind of movie, BP Vest from Cops.
I love BP Vest.
Now, at this point, what we should have mentioned is Cops, Central Organization of Police Specialists, is like our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. That
So
would
it's
be
a TV series.
that would be introduced somewhere along there. Now, you had the idea for Cops that it was sort of what?
Kind of like a government-funded police force where they're using experimental tech to apprehend like street-level threats and villains, like nothing like world-threatening like we're dealing with everywhere else.
Big Boss. And
Yeah, but like
Long
that kind
arm,
of stuff.
yeah.
I mean, you can even have Big Boss working for Venom, so they get tech too.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Cobra.
And it's just cyber-enhanced
Yeah.
cops. They do different things like that. So BP Vest, being the star of that show, makes his transition in the movies.
Okay.
So he's a part of it. We had Synergy from Gem, who along the time is Action Man's
AI.
like AI. She becomes like a physical form. I always thought she was the only cool thing to ever come out of Gem. Zordon's a part of them. Spike in his robot suit.
So Zordon, an actual Power Ranger,
He's like in a Power Ranger outfit.
like the beginning of the new movie where he was actually a Power Ranger.
I envision him being in some kind of like gold and black Ranger sort of power
Steel,
outfit with a
the ends,
helmet.
are, the ends are colored.
Yeah, whatever, you know. Brock would know what he would look like. Some kind of
White Ranger.
White
He
Ranger,
was
maybe.
the Red Ranger in the most recent movie.
Then he could be a Red Ranger, whatever he is. He's a Ranger of some sort. He has those abilities, martial arts. He's cool looking.
All right.
And then we have Magnocore from the Humanoids, who was like a half something another. I don't know.
He was love on the inside, rock on the
Rock
outside.
Yeah.
Two different people.
So this is the force they put together to go awaken this thing that Zordon tells them about, this Power Ranger protocol.
All right. That leads us right into the Power Rangers movie. A new team of Rangers is formed under the leadership of Zordon. They must battle Rita, who stands in their way of helping the universe.
So basically, you would have an action force. Zordon is hurt.
So does Zordon have to sacrifice himself to start the Rangers?
There you go. You just thought of that right there, and that's perfect. And he's just a floating AI head then after that or something.
They download his conscience into a computer or something like that.
What's the robot from Power Rangers?
Alpha 5.
Can that just be Synergy? Can we switch it to that?
Possibly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do a new team of Power Rangers, this team's led by Tommy Oliver.
From the start?
From the start. There's 6 of them from the start instead of 5. And Tommy's definitely the leader of the group.
What am I missing out? Why isn't it?
Because it was really just Jason and the 4 other Power Rangers. Tommy, the Green Ranger, came
Was bad
later.
first.
Oh, that's right. That's
I'm
right.
just going to skip right over that. And Tommy is the Green Ranger.
Or the White Ranger.
Or the White Ranger is the leader of the
I
group.
always like the green.
He's the right.
The green one was better.
It's cool when he's green at first. He's cool as both of them.
I like the
I always
Dragon
like
Sword
that
better.
the face turn that Tommy. Like,
We don't have time, Ken. This is 10 years of movies.
We have all the time in the world. All right, then we end up with year 10.
Now, let's say real quick, the Power Ranger tech, is it related at all to Cybertronians?
I say no. It's got to be separate. We got to start separating all.
Okay.
It's ancient. It's something that's been on Earth. It's like a Defenders kind of thing for Earth that needed to be awakened.
Okay.
This is gonna be a horrible thing, but do you remember the belt in Lucha Underground that had all the discs that we always made fun of?
Yeah.
What if all those discs are what power Zordon and it makes him super powerful?
Okay.
But it's too much and he sacrificed himself, so each one get a disc and that's the power that they
Power
get from
coin.
I like it.
Yep.
Power coins.
Because you bring back power coins.
There you go.
Yeah. Maybe Zordon's white because he's all of them united. Not like Caucasian white, but like his suit's white. But all the other Power Rangers are the other colors of the spectrum.
Okay.
So
All right. And then, so we have the Rangers.
then we end with what, year 10? We don't end, but this is where
This is where it ends here. Movie. This is Revolution 4 or whatever. Working title.
the Power Rangers awaken the heroes and stand together as one to take on VENGER and his host body UNICRON.
Love it.
Massive battle with lots of heroes and villains stand together. Lord Zed is introduced at the end.
So that would be after the big fight's over. Kind of going with Lord Zed as being phase 4 of a villain.
Yeah.
For it, all these dimensional rifts are open and torn apart, and all this crap happens. They put VENGER back where he belongs. They destroy the UNICRON body.
They clear out the Inhumanoids.
Yeah, and then you see Zed showing up.
All right, so here's my question.
Okay.
So you have a lot of side characters.
All right.
What's your envision for Colonel Mustard from Clue?
Colonel Mustard is part of
Because you have him written down here, and I want to just...
I would say he's part of the government. Like there's a bunch of generals and colonels that sort of are putting the Joes together that Action Man would report to and being there's always a council that you would go to, and he's like, okay, I'm putting together the Joes. M.A.S.K is in place. My larger strike force is the Joes. And the one guy that steps up is like, well, I don't think we... And he's like, Colonel Mustard. It's Colonel Mustard. And
So
it's
just
like,
more of a
Come on,
name
with
drop.
a name like Colonel Mustard, this dude has to have something to do with the cops show.
It's a name drop. Yeah, Colonel Mustard. Now, Miss Peacock from there could be like the secretary or whatever on Cops or something like that. Miss Peacock from Clue.
I just saw that, and I was like, I got to talk about this. The only Red Wolf I remember is Marvel's Red Wolf, so I'm not familiar with
I'm
this.
not really familiar with him either. Just know that it was a name I saw in Wikipedia.
Oh, man.
So there you go. That is
All
the
right.
entire movie. It's crazy. We know.
Yeah. So, Hasbro,
Paramount.
F. Gary Gray, feel free to contact us at KF Ken Fred Podcast.
And like we said, you could do. There's a lot of characters in here. If you were going to spin off into Amazon Prime, Netflix, TV shows, there's a lot of different things and routes you could go into. There's a lot of people. There's versions of G.I. Joe you can make TV shows out of.
Anti-Drug Squad.
There's Transformers that could be a part of it. There's a lot of different things.
A ton.
There you go.
All right. So, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
We got to bring Cobra Law in it at some point.
What's year 11?
Year 11, Globulus.
Globulus.
Love Globulus.
Oh man.
We'll have to go back in time to get Burgess Meredith to do the voice for him because he was great.
What about the motorcycle ones? The whole planet of the same Transformer. Who's the
the Junkions.
Yeah. All voiced
Imagine the Junkions with
Oh god.
Zartan's guys.
Oh yeah. What if they were all those motorcycles?
What are they? Who's Zartan?
Ravagers?
No, the
Dreadnoks.
Dreadnoks. The Junkions and the Dreadnoks and different teams up like that.
It'd be good.
Zartan's got to be in it too because he's awesome.
Zartan is cool.
I think after so long, you just do Hasbro Presents. Like,
Yeah.
it's Dreadnoughts on transforming motorcycles
And
or
it's
something.
Zartan and Zarana and Xandar and his whole family of Z's. A lot of people with Z's in it.
You know who I'm surprised didn't show up anywhere is Tamot and the twins that felt each other's pain.
Timex and Amon,
Yeah.
they're in there. I didn't have time to break out everybody that's in the G.I. Joe movies. But they're in there. The Crimson Guard, they're going to show up in a lot of different stuff. Yeah. I'm only using classic people. There ain't no way I'm sticking in. Like, I'm not going to Michael Bay it and make up a completely stupid Transformer person when there's so many on the shelves you can use.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to do the same thing they did in the G.I. Joe movie where they're using people that you've never heard of when it's like, why aren't you using this?
Yeah.
You know, like, why are they in there? These are the originals. Use them. That's what they're there for. That's why Skyfire is your first Transformer you're going to see because he's freaking awesome.
All right. Well, I think that wraps everything up. We're expecting official offers from Hasbro in the next couple weeks.
$300,000 a year per writer for us to write this whole movie universe for you. There
I
you
think
go.
that's fair. A little over $1 million for
That's
creators.
all.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheap.
That's what Jeff Johns get.
Yeah, seriously. Just let us work out of Don's basement in Western PA.
That's it. Just work here.
Yeah.
Easy. All right.
All right, please like, share, subscribe, invite, tell your friends, tweet at Hasbro, tell them you like our ideas, tell us and you think our ideas are shit. Whatever you want to do. And kiss your mother on the mouth for me.
Venger.
Good night.